living for the moment, now we're one with the world. I can't lose this feeling I get. My heart's in the right place, and so is my soul, yeah. I won't take no excuses for it. Love it, need it, live it. I feel like something's missing when I do not have it. I feel it in my bones, gotta find my space. These emotions on my face, taking a toll, I gotta pay it forward. I'll give it all that I can. No matter what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood.
All right, race fans, welcome back to another broadcast from RCI Motorsports. We are coming to you live from the Nurburgring ACC 75-minute race German Cup, where we'll be watching the 4 German cars in ACC tear up Nurburgring for 75 minutes. In the box with me today, we have Jesse and Mick that'll be holding down the comms for you. And Jesse, how you doing today?
Hello, Nick. I am absolutely fantastic. And ladies and gentlemen, it might be about a week late, but it is fantastic to be with you here at RCI, live in the commentary box for the first time myself. And it is lovely to see all of you here for this race today. As Nick alluded to in the intro, this is a German car-only race, which means we are at a German racetrack, and the only make and manufacturer that you can have is a German one, and that's going to be fantastic, because I don't think I have personally ever seen this kind of race, and not a better time to introduce my better half in the booth today. He's calling his first race for RCI as well. It's Mick. Mick, hello, how are you? And have you ever seen a race set up like this before?
Well, first of all, thank you, Jesse. It's great to be here and be with you in the commentary box with RCI at Nurburgring. Have I seen a race like this before? 4 German cars out there, ladies and gents. We've got Porsches, BMWs, Audis, and of course the wonderful AMG. I'll be honest with you, in the sim racing community, probably not, actually. I think this is a great little race for us to have, and it'll be very interesting tonight to see how these BMs and Porsches and Audis and AMGs mix it up around Nurburgring.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely fantastic in my opinion. This is going to be interesting. I love the Nürburgring. I know some people don't like the GP track as much, but I've always quite enjoyed it. It's one of the more modern tracks, though I think I might be showing my age there a little bit by calling it one of the modern F1 tracks. But anyway, it's a lovely place. I love racing here, and I love watching racing here because there are a plethora of passing zones. You join us a little bit into qualifying at this time. Follow along at home with the scoring pylon on the left side of your screen. You will update you, and so will we as we continue to get underway for the qualifying session. Abbreviated qualifying, Mick, it must be said. I was expecting a 15-minute session today. We got 10. All that does is, that's in an abbreviated session like that, you just got to go now. You got to get your lap in.
Yeah, well, you're going to get out there and you're going to have an out lap, and then you're going to have a hot lap, and then you're probably going to get one more hot lap in before actually you're going to take that sort of breather towards the end of qualifying. So, you know, there's some great names out there, some names that I do know, to be perfectly honest with you. I see Michael Schumacher out there. I mean, hopefully that's a member of the family or a doppelganger, one or the other. But the Meenans, certainly look out for the Meenans, Killian, and I think it's Cormac, isn't it? Cormac Meenan. Very, very quick fellas out there, and some other quick people out there as well. But yeah, so, you know, what, 3.5 minutes left of qualifying. These guys are up against it. Usually the first hot lap isn't necessarily going to be the best. You know, usually the second or third lap is going to be the sort of when the tyres are really scrubbed in and the car is really settled. But, you know, they have put out some qualifying times there, and we can see Chizia, forgive me if I spelled that, said that wrong, but with a 1:53.8, which is pretty good around here, Jesse.
Yeah, you have to say that there are some fast boys. Forgive us, we didn't mention in the intro, this is the pro split. We got 3 splits going on tonight here at RCI, and this is the top one. This is the tippy top. These are the fast boys and girls for that matter tonight. So these are likely where you're going to see your fastest times and also where you're going to see the most scrappy racing. And that's quite frankly what we are all here for to do. A hotly contested qualifying session so far as we show you the current fastest qualifier at the moment. And I'm going to throw it to Mick a second because I have to get my live timing up. This is interesting stuff.
Okay, very happy to take the reins for what is the remaining 2 minutes and 15 seconds of qualifying. Then you can see the timings on the left-hand side and the current running order. Bit about this track, this is Nurburgring. Of course, you will either love it or hate it. It's a bit like Marmite for those of you who are British. 3.1 miles, GP circuit this, 5.1 kilometres, 15 corners in total. You've got 9 right, 6 left. There's no need to offset or unbalance the car. 1 parabolica down at the extremely well-known Dunlop curve, and 2 hairpins. You've got 1 chicane, and 11 named corners, and I'm terrible, absolutely terrible with corners, but I will try my very best to be able to call them out as we go around.
It's absolutely true for me as well, Mick. I am terrible with some of these corners. We actually, a little peek behind the curtain for you guys. We had a conversation prior to going live today about the corner names here. It's a constant thorn in the side of any commentator. We're following the fastest qualifier here, the 222 Porsche of David Chisa right now. He was up on his lap, it must be said, and lost it all. He was up about 3/10 going into the chicane, and then lost it all. He's up a 10th now. Zeman, who was he's in the number 21 car. He's down to 3rd now, but he was quickest earlier. He's up a 10th or so as well. And looking at these times, it is a 10th gets you anywhere from 4th place up to about 2nd or even 1st, depending on how much of a 10th you get. It's going to be very interesting. Oh, and they all have lost in the same sort of time frame. That is very unfortunate to lose the time there. But here is Killian Ryan Meenan. Now, Mick, you know a bit about the Meenan brothers, then, I suspect.
Well, I think when they were born, the first words that came out of their mouth was Fanatec. These are very quick brothers. They spend a lot of time in self-training and investment, take it very, very seriously. I've had a couple of events with them over at another group that I race with, RWB, and they're exceptionally talented racers. I take my hat off to them. You look at those. You were talking about the timings there, Jesse. 1 second separates the top 17. 1 second.
That is absolutely incredible.
It,
I mean,
1 second.
We sort of expect that. We take that for granted, Mick. Honestly, I think in sim racing, like guys, this is proper levels of performance. I mean, this is like. It's really close, and David Chisa has improved on his time quite a bit, a 1:53.4. So he ruined what Nick and I were talking about for the past 5 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Chisa, for that. But a 53.4, and second place is Gillies in a 53.8. So took about 4/10, give or take, out of that. So that's fantastic for him. But going back to the Ryan Meenan brothers, they're new to us relatively. They popped up on our radar about a few months ago, and they've obviously stuck with it and everything, and they're just incredibly exciting. Our introduction to them, Mick, was actually really interesting. And by the way, the reason I'm rambling is nobody's up on their time and qualifying is ending. But
crack on. I suffer from the same disease. We'll do well tonight, no worries.
It's going to be fantastic. But I just wanted to explain to the people why we're not covering anything, because there's nothing to cover. Qualifying ending, everybody finishing up their lap, nobody going quicker. But anyway, back to the Ryan Meenan brothers. They showed up on our radar, and our first sort of race that we had them with, they were at the back end of the top 10, and they were fighting each other. They were beating 7 bells out of each other for an hour and a half, and it was just really fascinating to watch. They were just going at it. It was absolutely fantastic stuff. But qualifying has officially ended. All the cars that were out on the lap have finished their lap, and now we'll enter into the cool down. And Mick, I'm going to throw you into the fire here and ask, can anybody catch the 222 car tonight?
Oh, what did he do it in? 153. What was he qualifying? 153. Well, it'd be very interesting, you know.
153.4.
153.4. Well, if we look upon the fact that we've got the Meenans in the top 10s, 1.1 seconds separates first to 17th. Here's the thing with any racing, you've got to keep it clean. You've got to be on the grey stuff. One tiny small mistake, and there's 1 second at least gone. So, you know, it's his to lose and for others to take. So, can anyone catch him? Well, we're going to find out when we go into the first corner for sure. In particularly around Nurburgring, the first corner down at the Hagen hairpin is a particular choke point.
I think that is absolutely well said, and I don't know if anybody will catch him. I think that there is the possibility, obviously, anything can happen here. It's going to be a 75-minute race. We're going to be racing into the evening here as we have this lovely panning shot of the grid. Just so many cars here today, 25 thereabout. Track temperatures are pretty much perfect. As you see, it is a partly cloudy sky. And yes, all those things do matter in ACC. And you see nothing but German makes on the grid here. That is by design, as this one-off race tonight will showcase the German might and talent. And I can't pick a favorite car from this particular grid as far as the manufacturer goes, because Mick, I like all of them. I'll have them all, I think.
I would. I'll be honest with you. I lean towards the Audi R8, but I'll be brutally honest. I'm not good enough to master it in ACC, or any sim actually. Yeah, I would lean towards the Audi around here. You know, for the love of God, 4 great cars. Balance of performance in the sim world is pretty good amongst these 4 cars anyway, particularly around Nurburgring. Plus, when you weigh that up with the sheer talent that's out there, the Siemens, the Killians, the Meenans, sorry, and many other names there that again you'll know better than I will, but I'm sure I'll get to know them much better over the coming weeks and months. So yeah, I would steer towards the Audi, but I think it's 2 of one and 2 of another. I think they've all 4 different manufacturers are certainly capable of winning around here in this race.
I think that what you see there as we went to the full timetable is you saw a lot of Porsches in the top 10.
Yeah.
You get a sprinkling of the other manufacturers, a lot of Porsches. Porsches might be a bit of a favorite here, but as we count down the session start, I'm just going to do a quick rundown of the top performers. David Chisa got the pole and was driving away, and how, some 4/10 over Garland in second. Second row is going to be Schumacher and Gillies. Third row, Zeman and Wurst. Next row, Faust and Ryan Meenan. That is not Killian, that's his brother. Can't remember his first name, but that is...
I think it's Cormac.
Cormac.
Yeah.
Ryan Meenan, one half of the brothers we're talking about. And next, the final row inside the top 10 will be Cap, and that is Killian, Ryan Meenan. They both have qualified inside the top 10. And then just outside the top 10, we've got Sundstrom, Ripper, Sorka, Dedeka. Excuse me, I mispronounced that name. I was actually told how to pronounce that name prior, and already forgot.
I think it's Day Check.
It is data check.
Yeah.
It's data check. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Left Barrier, Varga, Zero, Pedrozini, Wurst, Chumley, Lorenk, and Redor is your top 23. And then we also have Billy Octane all the way back in 24th. That's not usual for him to be back that far. And then we have Pereira and Lorian. Excuse me, the screen messed me up on that one. That's Lorian in the 26th spot. I'll beg your forgiveness. And that's your grid. I advertised 25 cars. I will give you 26 because I like you out there. Anybody from the back of the grid, Mick, as we're sitting here, anybody from the back of the grid that you see that could be a top performer, maybe work their way into the top 10, maybe even more tonight?
Well, I think Billy Octane gets my vote. One, for having the best name on this grid. How about that? If you could choose your name in sim racing, it would be Billy Octane. What a fantastic name. So I'm going to champion Billy Octane. Let's see how he gets on.
That's fantastic. I always liked Billy Octane. He's certainly in endurance races that I've covered. I always liked it when Billy Octane got into the car because I got to say, oh, and driver swap now and Billy Octane getting into the car tonight, and it's just such a perfect name. It's like a proper racing driver's name, like Scott Speed or something
well,
like that.
I'm jealous. Billy Octane, give that name up, sell it on Dpol or eBay. I'll be the first buyer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm stuck with Jesse Lee, unfortunately, but we are out under the pace lap tonight, and there will be one pace lap. I do believe I was told, and it doesn't appear to be showing on timing and scoring, but if I am not very much mistaken, I was guaranteed that there is no driver swap tonight. That is something I can tell you in earnest, but I'm also not. There it is, as our race director Nick Setnick has set it up so that I don't look a fool. You'll see that there is an amber number 1 on the scoring pylon for every driver just beside their number placard, and that means that every single driver must come down pit road at some point in this race and take on fuel in a pit stop. That is a mandatory stop that they must take whenever they fulfill the mandatory stop requirements. That amber placard with the 1 in it will turn green, notifying you and us that they have fulfilled their mandatory stop. And I suggest you pay attention to that at home, because we've seen time and time again, every single race, some drivers, a lot of the time, drivers fighting for the win, have a mistake in pit road. They are so tricky, and it is possible for them to make a mistake. But that is just how that works. As they continue up the Schumacher S's on their pace lap, I'm starting to get excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm joining you there. Halfway around the track, as Jesse says, coming up the Schumacher S's, and they'll shortly be going down the wonderful Advent Bogan, the Advent Bend down towards the NGK chicane, obviously, and then they'll be coming around for their first lap. And how is the starts initiated, Jesse? Brief me up. Will it be down to the pole position?
Well, sort of, but the way that ACC works is that the sim just sort of releases you after everybody is sort of in place, and it can be delayed. It's not the same sort of start each time. One time you may start right on the start-finish line. Sometimes it does it really early. It's sort of the random effect of the sim. Of course, the sim tries to make it as even as possible. As what you will see here is the leader will be slowed down as they get up to the final curve. And here they are, everybody getting side by side for the start. 26 cars racing into twilight in this race this evening. Folks, we're glad to have you here with us at RCI as they do line up 2 by 2 by 2. Chisa and Garland, 2 Porsches on the front row as they will go down into that first turn. How many times have we seen
green light, Jesse, they're away.
Indeed, the green flag is out, and how many times have we seen the outside be the preferred line, but not here today? It is going to be Chisa who does get that in there, but look here, there is a fight on the outside, can't quite keep it together, and that is a clean getaway for the triple two. That is fantastic stuff as they are log jammed back in the field as we go through Mercedes-Benz Arena, but no major contact, Nick.
No major contact, a few bits of door rubbing here and there, but on the whole, very clean, and well done to all of them. It's particularly down into that first hairpin. A
bit of a mistake there. A car goes sliding into the nose of another one, but if I'm not mistaken, I think they both kept it going the right direction.
Yeah, they did, yeah. So Daycheck out in the first place, who's kept that with Chizia in second place, coming down now to the infamous Dunlop curve, the hairpin, if you like, up towards the Michael Schumacher S's. So as we were saying, fairly clean off of the start there. A few people going wide there. BMW just scratching off a bit of speed there by going onto the sand, oblique gravel. Up the Schumacher S's, all looking fairly tidy. Looking at Datacek now, who, as we saw, has moved down from second to 14th. A drive-through, Jesse, for is that Leffy?
I'm just going to call him Lef or Lefay, or no doubtedly correct us if we are wrong. Yeah, something terribly going wrong with the number 19 Porsche. That car has been given a drive-through, and we do have, and I should mention, we do have live stewards in this event. What is live stewarding, you may be asking yourself? Well, live stewarding is a panel of unbiased adjudicators that we have here, just like you would for any FIA or SRO event, that's in real time look at incidents and provide with sort of penalties, I guess, or a reaction to them. And don't know if Leffy's is something to do with that, or it could be something the sim has done itself.
Yeah.
And of course, the sim will issue a penalty if you get too many off tracks in a race anyway, and that's not something that our live stewarding would have done. But certainly, if that were the case, we will have updates for you as the race goes on for the live stewarding, for penalties given, to help you and us understand what's going on inside the race. But we focus now on Cormac Ryan Meenan in the number 12 Porsche. He's just in front of his brother. You'll see his brother right behind him in that lime green Porsche. And
Yep.
I mentioned in the pre-race, Mick, that these guys aren't afraid to race each other.
No, they're like the Cray twins of the sim racing world, and by that I mean they will very happily go toe to toe with each other, and there's no brotherly love lost when it comes to the checkered flag being dropped for race start. These two will fight just as hard with each other as anyone else will, and as I said, you know, I've some experience with racing with them, and you know, they don't pull any punches, these fellas. They are hard, they are fast, and if they see a gap, then they, you know, may well necessarily barge through if necessary. That their racecraft is, you know, up there with the very best of them. The point being is they're not going to give you an inch, not a centimetre. They'll take it away from you, rip it up and burn it and throw it away. As we see Killian hunting down and hanging out the back of his own brother. That doesn't sound good, does it? But Killian hunting down Cormac there. Cormac in 9th place in the green Porsche.
I would hate to be at the dinner table after a hard race with these guys. That would just be the worst thing. It'd be the most awkward silence. But Chiza does lead this race. It was 1.5 seconds at the line. It's now up another 10th after going through the first sector. Garland, as pictured here, is under complete fire from Schumacher, who has a very famous name, but I believe it is only coincidence because it is a very common name, of course. But Garland certainly under fire from the top-running BMW. Schumacher would enjoy having second place, and it would be interesting if he does get around Garland here, just how much pace he actually has, to see if he could go up there and fight Chiza for the overall lead here. And that would be very interesting considering they're two different manufacturers. And as we know, Mick, I mean, cars qualifying is one thing, racing's another. How is that Porsche going to handle after 30 minutes of running? Maybe a BMW or an Audi will be better.
Yeah, well, you know, the Porsche, the engine out the back there, some people say that you really got to invest a great deal of time and energy and effort into mastering the Porsche, but if you do master it, it will pay back dividends. You know, the top 10 there, Jesse, we were talking about it earlier on manufacturer-wise. You've got seven Porsches in the top 10, you know, one Audi, one AMG, 8 Porsches in the top 10. So yeah, the Porsches definitely seem to be favoured around Nurburgring by our racers tonight. But as I said, the Porsche is fickle. Get it right, and it will pay back dividends. Get it wrong, and it will snap you in half and throw you off the track. It is a car to master, of that there is no doubt.
Yeah, we've certainly seen that. Both of us, I'm assuming, we've seen that countless times. I mean, you talk about being chewed up and spit out. I've never been debuffed quite as hard as I have been driving a Porsche before. It plays nice, doesn't it? Sometimes the Porsche,
Yeah.
it'll play nice, and then when you least expect it, it goes for the jugular, I'm afraid.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
sometimes not great. Garland is 2.3 seconds back now, and she said that's an incredible time loss, and the only thing I can attribute that directly to is the fact that he has a hungry BMW right behind him, but don't get lost in the fact that there is an Audi right behind the BMW. That's Faust in the number 93 Audi, and he will certainly have an opportunity if something was to go wrong, or maybe a pass attempt misguided. Faust will have an attempt at third, maybe even second. It's all to play for here with still over an hour to go, and you can see at the top of your screen it's 6:15 p.m. and just a record, or just to mention something earlier that I may have not completely explained. There is a mandatory pit stop. You must take fuel. I was also told you have to take tires as well. It's mandatory tire and fuel stop. That's the only way to satisfy the mandatory stop. There is no driver change, but that's going to be real interesting. And I mentioned earlier how important getting a clean stop is, and it sounds so silly, I'm sure, to some people. How hard could it be to get a clean stop? Well, you got to. You're a driver. You're the only one in the car, Mike. You have, or excuse me, you have to select your own options. Oh, and there's almost contact there, and he's gone through. Schumacher has gone through, and he's going to be on the defensive. Garland is from Faust. Faust wants to get around him here, takes the short way around the corner. That's always a good idea. Oh, Garland looks to the inside, looks to the outside, falls back in line as that big, bad BMW rumbles down the front straight here and gets away, says, I am out of here. I don't want to be any part of this anymore. And it's created a logjam behind him, and I think Zeman was looking for a move on Gillies. I'm not sure. I hope nothing terrible has happened back there. Oh, there seems to be a gap. Maybe there had been. Hard for me to speculate at this point, but one thing's for sure, change for second.
Yeah, a fantastic move by Schumacher coming out of the NGK, coming out of the Coca-Cola curve there. And as we saw on the main straight, Garland started looking on the inside. At one point I thought Schumacher was going to go defensive into the Haug-Hacken hairpin, but very clearly, he didn't need to. He had the legs. Of course, the thing that we should be looking at now is, one, can Schumacher keep his second position from Garland? Already pulled up 0.2 of a second away from Garland. Garland's no slouch out there as we see him go around the Dunlop curve. But of course, what we're looking at closely, notwithstanding the rest of the field, is the time differential between Chizia and Schumacher, currently at 3.455 seconds. We want to see that, can it be reduced? Can Chizia keep the pace? And of course, we've got a pit stop to do, as you heard Jesse mention earlier, with all the details of that. Plus, of course, the temperature is dropping. It's 15 degrees centigrade when we started there. We're going into the sort of early evening. Temperatures are going to start to drop. Tyre temperatures may well be affected from being scrubbed before pit stop. And of course, then with a new set on afterwards, well, they've then got to get the temperatures back up again. So all of that is peripheral information, but the fact of the matter is Schumacher in second, great move on Garland. Garland maintaining third place. Schumacher now clawed up 0.02 of a second on Chizia and closing down to first place.
Yes, absolutely right. Mick is correct. Your eyes do not deceive you, ladies and gentlemen. Schumacher is closing down on the leading 222 Porsche. It was 3.4 seconds. It's now down to 3.1. That is happening. A bit of unfortunate news to give you. The 221 car was given a drive-through penalty for an incident caused on the first lap. So I think that's actually what that drive-through we saw earlier was for.
Right. And was that awarded by the stewards?
Yes, sir, it was. The official notice coming down that they awarded that penalty for causing a collision on the first lap.
Well, that's outstanding stewarding, because that was before even the end of the first lap that we knew about that. And, to give you some sort of idea, ladies and gents, for those of you who are watching, and for members of RCI, if they watch this back later as part of an archive, there's a great deal of numbers of staff involved in the background here. Something like 5 or 6 stewards involved that are looking at the racing standards of each of these drivers in certain choke-pointed areas around this track. And hats off, because if it's stewarded right, particularly with live stewards, then that's the sort of fairness that you can distribute for those who where it is warranted. And as we heard Jesse say, 5 seconds awarded there.
Yeah, the thing is as the gap between the leaders continues to come down, now under 3 seconds, 2.7 seconds, the difference between Schumacher and the leader right now, as we're looking at Sundstrom here. Sundstrom under attack from I keep forgetting how to say their
I reckon
name.
it's Zarka. That's what I think. I think it's Zarka.
I believe they called him Sharka.
Or it might well be, yeah.
I believe that's what I was told. I think it might be Polish. I'm unsure. I'm just guessing at this point.
I think you're right, Jesse. I don't think they pronounce the Z's, do they? So it'd be Zarka.
Right, indeed. I think for the duration, to keep myself from looking even more silly, I'm just going to refer to them as the 818 car.
Yeah, you know, guys, don't come hunting for us with shotguns, guys. If we get your names wrong, you know, we'll do our very best. But
I tell you what, I'll gladly talk to you about it if you don't bring your pitchfork and your lit torch. But what we do have is the 818 that was coming onto the Sundstrom car. That's the 899. They were very close in pace, and that battle ignited. And speaking of a battle ignited, this here between Gillies and Wurst, this is also something that's happening, and it would be remiss if I didn't mention, I talked about earlier whenever Schumacher had made the pass on Garland that I thought there may have been contact back in the field. Can confirm that Faust, who was running 4th place in the number 93 Audi, is now back to 12th position. That is a result of contact. He's been knocked all the way back to 12th position. So he not only did he lose the top 5, he lost the top 10 as well. So that's unfortunate for him. That's a long road back, and he's made no progress at the moment. But something else to keep your eye on. And it also appears that Killian has moved up in the number 23 Porsche to 7th place. He's put Ripper between him and his brother in the number 12. So that's something else to keep on top of as well. And I think that pretty much catches everybody up. And your pick, Mick, to come up from the back of the pack, Billy Octane, the number 42, he's making headway.
He is making headway, yeah. Billy Octane up into 17th place now. Earlier on, Jesse, I said we should be watching out for Schumacher. He was 3.4 seconds away from Chizia, and already, you know, actually it's moved between 2.7 and 3 seconds, closing the gap. So he's closing the gap. Probably as important as that is that he clearly is faster than Garland, because he's pulled out essentially 5 seconds away from Garland. So Schumacher in 2nd place, Martin Schumacher closing up, although, you know, still 3 seconds, but he is pulling in time from Chizia. When are we going to start to see Schumacher battle with Chizia? Well, it's what lap are we on? We're currently on lap 7, so I'm going to predict by the time lap 14 comes that these two will be battling for first.
That'd be fantastic. And by the way, that was Mick that made that prediction, not me, because every time I make a prediction, Mick, I know you never broadcast with me before, but every time I make a prediction... Oh, okay, so you have watched my broadcast. Anyway, so moving on, the number 21 of Zeman, that number 21 Porsche, was given a drive-through penalty for dive bombing into a corner on multiple cars. That is a drive-through issued by the stewards. Too aggressive driving will not be tolerated by the stewards, and they have awarded Zeman that drive-through penalty for that dangerous bit of driving. So that's the DT that you see on your screen. Of course, we are following the lead battle as that continues to close down. We're also following some of the other cars that we haven't even talked about. We haven't talked about Cap at all in the 3-2-1 Mercedes. One of the few up here actually there's 2 in the top 10 now. Sundstrom, of course, as well. But we like to talk about liveries around here, Mick. Is that a thing that you guys do as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, whether it's an official release or not, you know, people are now starting to dabble in creating their own liveries. And you know, but I'll be honest with you, I think that the ACC system of allowing you to create your own liveries is pretty good. But people are starting to be a lot more sort of creative now, and I think that can only be good news for the community and only good news for Kunos. And I really hope that it's, you know, formally supported, as was the case one day in Assetto Corsa many years ago. So yeah, liveries are important, absolutely. It's part of your personality, stamped all over that. I just don't get on with the BM, Jesse. It's just not for me.
The car or the livery?
The car in general.
Oh, I was just going to invite you to my birthday party, and now you said that. I don't know. I just like that. I like a big front-engined, ridiculous wing wider than the car. I like it. There's something... there's something about those cars that I like, but I echo everything you said about the creativity and everything. And to see these drivers and in some cases teams put together these liveries and come out here and race with them, and it's a kaleidoscope of color all of the time. And you know, I always thought that liveries, as we look at Garland's car here, you know, sometimes liveries reflect on the team, the driver, etc., and you can get an idea of their personality through the car in the same way that you can do whenever you're watching them drive. You know, if you can tell if they're an aggressive driver. I don't know if you can tell that from a livery, but you can get a.
Well, you
a
can
little,
now. You've just said it.
Yeah, well, you know, sometimes you can, you know, if you paint your car like Darth Vader's helmet, that's a bit menacing, isn't it? And perhaps that's meant to scare people away. But no, I absolutely love it myself. I love seeing all the different designs and things they come up with. Some people need to get their eyes checked, let's be honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I once critiqued a livery that looked a little bit wild, and I was later told that person was, I believe, red-green colorblind, I believe is what I was told.
Oh,
and,
right.
So they painted their car specifically to avoid those colors, and I was like, that's actually quite brilliant. And I never brought it up in a broadcast, but now I have. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. And that's just a bit of, you know, more bit of personality is things like that. And here we have Worst is being completely troubled by Gillies. Oh, there was a car off in the background there that looked like Cap's Mercedes, and was Cap's Mercedes. He went off and did not.
I think he went off at Valvoline, didn't he?
He sure did. He rode the grass. That's an expensive lawnmower, mate. You might want to think otherwise.
Yeah.
But gets back on the track in 8th place. That will promote Killian Ryan up to 6th place, and Ripper in 7th. And that will leave Cap in 8th place, as Gillies now has a bit of a gap at the moment. Something's happened up front to Schumacher. Schumacher was gaining, of course. Now he finds himself in the biggest deficit he's been all race at 3.8 seconds, Mick.
Yeah, commentator's curse. I done it, didn't I? I'm going to withdraw my prediction of lap 14. For some reason, yeah, Schumacher, as Jesse just said there, you know, is now 3.7 seconds. It's 0.7 of a second. All that is around here is one slight apex taken slightly too late or slightly too long, or a break, you know, slightly too deep into a corner. And when these guys out there, as they are, you know, I do sim racing myself as well as commentating, and irrelevant of the ability level of people out there, they race clean and fair, but ultimately they're all racing as hard as they can, and mistakes are easily made, even by the very best, and so that's all it takes. And Schumacher is certainly in the right place. He is well placed. By that, I mean, you only have to look at Garland, who's now 3.2 seconds, and then further down the field, they've all sort of, you know, stretched out their time differential front and rear. So Schumacher is, Schumacher is being left behind by Chizia.
Sharka there getting completely sideways in some of the tighter sections of the track. No harm, no foul. Gets it going the right way, and after taking a few corners, he seems to be all right. But my goodness, he was a bit sideways coming through there. He's got a mirror full of Faust at the moment, who's probably full of vinegar at the moment, considering what surely happened to him at one stake. But you bring up an interesting point, Mick, and I'm just going to echo that point here. Is he's now 3.8 seconds. Schumacher is behind the leader, but keep in mind there's strategy to be played here. There is pit stop, and there are any number of different ways that you can do that pit stop. You can do it early or as late as you possibly want to do it. There is no pit window. You may pit whenever you want and fulfill your mandatory stop. In fact, Chumley, who was briefly in the 23rd spot there, who we hadn't talked about today, he had already done that, but received a 5-second penalty on... I don't know if that was a pit penalty or if that was a added on time penalty, but you'll now see that the number 19 Porsche has also been given such a penalty, and that is unfortunate. You see green at the bottom, Pedrozzini. We talked about Pedrozzini at the start of this race.
He's
number 3 Audi.
Yeah.
Yeah, he sure has. So, folks at home and us too need to pay attention to Pedrozzini to see how far up the grid potentially he can get in this race. Because I'm always a fan, and Nick, I'll ask you, I was always a fan of pitting early and making up time on people during the race. I never like to leave it to the last moment and have to put all the weight on the last few laps. What about yourself?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and there are other variables that you've got to take into consideration. And one of the variables is a variance that a lot of people don't take into consideration because they don't like to measure themselves. Let me explain. The first one is how long is the race. The second one is how well do you know the track. And the third variance that nobody ever asks is actually how good are they amongst the rest of the field. And that should be part of your strategy. If you're amongst a field of unknowns, then you probably want to choose a pit stop strategy somewhere balanced in the middle. And then depending on your ability will depend on whether that goes to the left or right of that particular strategy. If you're a much better or a much quicker driver than the good portion of the field, and you know that because you know them, then actually you're more likely to go long. And then do a pit stop much later and use that opportunity to gain the time on the field and position yourself appropriately. And I know a lot of top racers would do that. Conversely, however, if you know that you're the very slowest out there, and you know,
Oh,
wow, who's that? That's Perea. Is it Perea?
no, that's I believe that's what's behind
Oh, beg your
Gillies
pardon.
right there. I think he absolutely got on the curbs in the chicane and nearly walked it out to the grass, but
He just
all
kept
credit to Wust, he was
yeah.
able to save it and play on, as you were saying, Mick.
No, a very good point. Yeah, absolutely. Well done, Bust. Yeah. So
I will continue on. A little bit of technical difficulties, perhaps, in the booth. Do have some penalties I want to read you. Let me just find them real quick. I think we can explain some of the things that have occurred. Just have to find them. You are back indeed. So I have no idea. To the credit of the 5-second penalties we were talking about earlier, the mystery is revealed. The number 19 car was given a 5-second penalty for minor contact, bumping into the back of another car. The 720, which is the Chumley car I was referring to, also a 5-second penalty by the stewards for minor contact with another car. So the stewards today, Mick, are going to award 5-second penalties. This is what I've got for this. For minor contact that is avoidable, they are going to issue 5-second penalties today. Where do you stand on that?
Well, I think that's a good thing, to be honest with you, especially if they were avoidable. And you know, we need to clearly differentiate the difference between something that could be avoidable and something which was unavoidable, usually as a result of a genuine mistake. So, yeah, I think that's fine. I think that's fair. 5 seconds, whether that's slowed down or whether that's added on to the time at the end. Some people would say that's a bit harsh. Well, you know, there are rules and regulations, and if there's something that's unavoidable or something that was avoidable, then there was no need for it to happen. And ultimately, I think the stewards would make the right call, particularly if that indeed affected another driver.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you there. Is if the race was affected in a negative way and it wasn't a fair challenge, I think that there should be a penalty. As we see Stefan Zero, who's way down the order. I don't usually see him this far down the order, but he's going to get one here on Faust. He will get the pass made, or maybe, excuse me, I'm incorrect. He's getting one on Worst there, and that is a pass done and dusted. Lights were flashing for Zero. Stefan Zero getting that number 51 BMW back in front and one step closer to the top 10. Will now set his sights on Faust, who is already had not a great start to the day, but he's 1.3 or 1.4 seconds now behind him. No doubt will try to get up there and get in amongst them, as we would say in the South here in the U.S. Get in there amongst them, Mick.
Get in there amongst them. Pedrozzini, who we talking about earlier on with the pit stop, in 23rd at the minute, and to finish off the pit stop side of things, yeah, I think to the right, if you're balancing, if you know your standard out there is probably perhaps faster than some of the field, and more likely to pit early if you think that you know you are outclassed. even in the actual class itself.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, it's all about strategy here today. It's all about, you got to have pace, but you got to have strategy. And we certainly, no doubt, in some point in your lives, if you're a motorsports fan, you've seen a team that maybe didn't have quite the pace. I'm looking at you, Audi, in the P1 class. You've taken it to, we saw them take it to Porsche year after year whenever they very clearly didn't have it in qualifying. And certainly pit stops and those kind of things can play into it heavily, as the lead of the race not in jeopardy at the moment. We are showing you some of the best battles and some of the best drivers that we can. I love that bright green on Killian's car right here. Something about that on a Porsche is just sublime.
It's very Ford Focus RS, isn't it?
Oh my goodness, that's why I like it. I'm a Ford fan, as it turns out. So that's exactly. I think, Mick, I think you've exposed me there a bit.
It was either luminous green or luminous orange, one of those two.
I was very much hoping to not reveal my brand loyalty today, but Ripper right behind him, he is he's fluctuating in between half to a second behind him. See if the number 66 BMW has anything for him. We will continue to watch that, of course, as we go back to Gillies. This battle just will not leave. This is Gillies, the 168 Porsche, being tailed by Wurst in the number 11 Porsche. This has been this way for, I don't know, the past 15, 20 minutes, Mick. You got to be waiting for somebody here, in this case, to make a mistake, but what do you do if they don't make a mistake?
Oh, you hang on for dear life. That's what you do, and you almost call on the sim racing gods or the motorsport gods to invoke some form of mistake. I mean, Gillies 1.3 second to third, 1.2. He's clawing it back. All Garland has got to do is just make one small, tiny mistake, and Gillies will have it. Earlier on we mentioned that Schumacher, although he wasn't closing up, and Chazia was well placed. And by virtue of that, I mean that the place is warranted for him to be second. You can see Garland is looking at Schumacher. Chazia, however, is almost in a field of his own. He's out there. But don't.
Yes, this battle will not go. Oh, he thinks about making the move to the inside. Wurst does, but he doesn't do it. But that's the thing. We've seen Wurst have a bit of an issue in the chicane, but he closes right back up. Clearly, he is the faster of the two Porsches right now, but like I was alluding to, being faster doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get through. If the pace is similar, and it certainly appears to be that in this case, then there's no way around. And then, of course, we're running really close. If you are Wurst, you're running really close to Killian right behind him in the number 23, and Killian has brought Ripper up into this scenario as well. So realistically, you can't afford, if you make a mistake in this situation, it's going to be exactly like what happened to Faust early in the race, where you drop all those positions. If Gillies was to make a mistake here, he would probably, I reckon, go back to about 7th or 8th.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and racing is a game of chess. It's not just a simple case of go as fast as you can from point A to point B over a certain time frame. These guys are racing out there not only against each other, but they're racing against the rules and regulations of racecraft. They're racing against stewards to make sure that they're racing clean. And of course, they're racing against the inevitable AI in the background that makes sure that corner cuts are done fairly and so on. So there's all these boundaries, and of course, in between these boundaries is then their ability in that particular car and then on that particular track. A huge amount of variables as to how good you're going to be and what your pace is going to be out there. And as you heard Jesse say, you've only got to make one slight mistake and that's it. Someone will take it away from you. And there is never a time, I think, Jesse, where sim racing has been more in everybody's mindset. Or as we just see Killian there taking, did he take the position from Wurst? I don't think he did he?
I don't.
No, he didn't.
No, I don't think he did. I think he was under fire from Ripper is what happened there. And I think he defended that spot excellently. But no, Mick, you're absolutely right. I mean, sim racing has exploded because of the unfortunate, events going on in the world. It's taken center stage a lot for esports, and as a sim racer, the majority of my life, I never really imagined that it would ever blow up to the point that it was prior. So the fact that we have live sim racing on major television networks and it's getting hundreds of thousands of views and you've got real drivers. I mean, stock car racing managed to get a field of a full field of their drivers. F1 did the same. You know, it's
Formula E, but Formula E.
it's fantastic, isn't it? It's great that sim racing has experienced that exposure, and I think it's opened a lot of people's eyes to how good it actually is. And just want to give you guys a bit of information here. Speaking of how good it can be, the last time through, almost every single driver inside the top 10 ran a lap within 0.2 of each other. That is incredible pace.
Wow.
That is exactly what we expect.
Out there between the top 5, what's their sort of race pace? 150 what?
So right now, the top 2 are the only 2 in the 54s. Chiesa and Schumacher are in the 54s. Everybody else is sort of in the 55.3, 55.6 bracket right now, and that's straight down into, as far as my timing sheet goes, without scrolling, into 15th. That was their last lap. So it's all really close. The top 2 in a league of their own right now. And I must say, and I will play devil's advocate because I love playing devil's advocate, Schumacher was actually half a second quicker than Chiesa last lap.
Well, that's good news for Schumacher, because of course he is playing the real-in game. Schumacher has got nothing to lose and everything to gain, and the opposite, obviously, for Chiesa. Jesse, if you were racing out there, where would you be at that sort of race pace in this pack?
I'd be 26 right now if I was out there. It would be absolutely no contest.
I tell you right now, I would be right back at 26. It never ceases to amaze me, and I have the privilege of racing with some very, very quick, talented people over at RWP. It never ceases to amaze me, the sheer ability of some sim racers out there, the speed that they do and where they get it from is beyond me. It really is beyond me. But I doff my hat every time I see a time that I just know I could never ever get. It's real skill. Fair play.
Yeah, I was very recently able to race with some of the fast boys in sim racing, and I didn't really race with them for long. I think I stayed with them on a straightaway, and I think they were gone. They were in a completely different area code, and that's just the way it is. But you don't learn anything as, there could be a move here. Garland is under attack from Gillies here. Could this possibly happen? Yeah, and it won't do. But what an excellent cover from Garland there. Excuse me, my timing and scoring screwed up for a second. But that's what a cover to get in the inside. But that's exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes it can put you in jeopardy. Gillies is now under attack from Wurst again, and he's got an entire train of Porsches behind him that would all desperately like to get by him as well.
Yeah, and Garland there went defensive coming into the hairpin there by taking very clearly, before the braking point, making sure that he was on the inside line there, as we see him now just coming through Ford, Valvoline and Ford and down into Dunlop. But yeah, I like many people, like you all listening, like you, Jesse, you've been out there before in races where there is a gap between you and the car in front and behind you. You almost feel like you're holding them up, and it's an awful feeling. Garland is not holding them up, ladies and gents. Let's be perfectly frank about that. They are racing for position, but it is a feeling that you can't help but react against when you've got 3-4 cars within 2 seconds behind you, and you've got names like Meenan and Burst Gillies. Garland's no slouch. He knows what he's doing out there, and we've seen if he needs to go defensive, he'll go defensive. And of course, it's down for the others to bring it to Garland. Garland again, look, going on the outside there into the chicane. But now coming into Coca-Cola, but he's got the line. Now, will he stay on the inside line coming down into the Howell hairpin, or will he move out into the middle and force them to go deep on the outside? Interesting to see.
Yeah, Will, and something else I'm thinking about as well is we were talking about pit stop strategy earlier. For Garland, I don't think he has any cards in the deck other than staying out as long as humanly possible, because if Garland comes in now knowing that Gillies, Ripper, Cap, and worst, but by the way, we've lost from this pack, which I assume is because he has pitted. It's both the Ryan Meenan brothers have come in to pit as well. So strategy playing out before your eyes.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a car around. That's the is that the 101? Is that?
That's Daddy Check. That was
Daddy Check. Oh my goodness. He's went around. That is not what you wanted to see. Garland back to 9th position now after that. And that is exactly, Mick, what you were saying 25 minutes ago. That the Porsche, you race it on a knife's edge, you make one tiny mistake and it swallows you up.
Yeah, well, you know what? I said Daddy Check. Apologies, I meant Garland. But yeah, Garland now is now got to push. Despite he's providing that car isn't damaged too badly, he's got to push and try and close that differential up, as we're just seeing Ripper looking at the back of Gillies and saying, I'll just let you know I'm here. We're just coming down into Dunlop Curve here. We're going to go up to the Schumacher S's and round the back of Nurburgring down towards the Avon Bend. And I'll have a look at the closing speed, Jesse.
Yeah, that big bad BMW will absolutely gobble up a Porsche on the straightaway, and that's exactly what you've seen there. And happy birthday as they make it through the chicane clear. And Ripper is now into 3rd, and Gillies has decided enough is enough as there's a BMW crashed into pit road.
Yep.
Luckily was sitting on the curb, did not think about rejoining. That could have been a bigger incident. Oh no, and there's a crash. There is a crash coming into pit road. One of the cars has hit him and spun him the right way. Pit road entry is clear, but you'll see 2 Mercedes in the background nearly coming side by side into pit road. And this is Martin Schumacher, ladies and gentlemen. This was your 2nd place car with a massive amount of damage, Mick.
Oh, and there's going to be some penalties from the stewards there. And there's always a bone of contention, usually the exit from a pit and people not staying within their bounds, within the white line. But, in my view, I'll be brutally honest. I'll put it out there. I don't think there should be any requirement or any need for any crashing going into the pits. And drivers need to have a great deal of discipline and awareness to make sure the position and the variance of their car is positioned appropriately, so they're not going to block up or cause a.
Yes, and just a couple of things to report. We've had a couple of retirements this evening. One of those, and congratulations, Mick. Welcome to the family here at RCI. You've cursed your first driver. You picked Billy Octane to come up through the field. He had a game crash, and he's out of this race. And that is unfortunate, Billy, and we hate to see that. I mean, we hate to see a crash on the track, but we hate to see a crash when it's not your fault at all and you can't do anything about it. But such is sim racing, and congratulations, Mick. Welcome to the family. And
like you, I've done a bit of commentating before, and I'm infamous over at my other crew, over at RWB, commentating. So I'm sorry I brought it in too.
Oh my goodness.
The pair of us, Jesse, after about half an hour, there'd be no one out there.
Yes, indeed. Billy in the YouTube chat here saying that he did some work on his computer, and he is going to revert his changes, he thinks, because he doesn't think the sim likes it very much. But that is the way it goes. You try to get every bit of performance out of your car and your rig, and sometimes it just goes wrong.
Yeah. There's nothing worse than your equipment failing on you. It really is an awful thing. So fair play, Billy. Good luck to you. We'll see you next time you're out there. Man with the best sim racing name of this particular series.
It's just so good. It is absolutely. It's just so good. Billy Octane, just the fastest name. I mean, how did your parents write that on your birth certificate without the paper flying out the window? That is an incredible name. But we do continue here, and certainly Billy will be back. He's, I mean, I can't think of a race or an event that we've put on where I've not seen his name on the list. So certainly he will, he'll be around. And we see pit stops do continue around as cars are making their mandatory stops. Most of the top 10 have done it. I think whenever a few cars came in, Mick, I think that forced the hand of some of these other drivers to come and get the stop done and don't be put on the back foot.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a reminder, the boxes next to the car numbers there, if you see them green, that means they've made their pit stops. So that means that you can see there, look, everybody has made a pit stop now except Sundstrom, who's currently in first place, and who's that? Is Perea. I think it's Perea, if I pronounce that wrong. But he's yet to make a pit stop. It's 32 minutes. It's a 75-minute race, so they've pretty much all opted to hit between the first and third marker and just beyond sort of just before halfway.
We do apologize. Mick seems to be having minor technical issues with the mic right now. What he's saying is there's only a few cars like Pereira has not pitted, and neither has Sundstrom, who for the first time we have a change for the lead, albeit because of pit stops. Sundstrom is your leader of this race right now. He still hasn't pitted, as noted by the amber number 1. He is in front of Chiesa, and now Killian Ryan Meenan in the number 23 Porsche is your third place car after all the chaos of pit stops. That has afforded him third place. It's also promoted Ripper to fourth as well, and Gillies is now back to fifth place, and Wust is down to seventh. That's an incredible bit of unfortunate news. And Garland, who had that spin coming through the Mercedes arena, that sort of half spin, is down to 12th as well. And of course, who could forget Schumacher in the number 33 BMW, who was spun in the pit road. He was sitting there. He got contact. He's all the way down into the 14th position as well. And I believe, if you give me a moment, as you see on your screen, there has been some penalties awarded, Mick.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, we got Martin Schumacher, who's got a drive-through there, and a plus 5 seconds for Leaf in 17th place with the Porsche. Not sure what's going on with the old sound side of things here. Everything seems to be working fine this end. Perhaps I can ask Nick just to check the OBS stream, but everything should be fine this end, so all good.
You do sound fantastic now. The number 33 was given a drive-through penalty for unsafe rejoin. That was Schumacher. The drive-through was unsafe rejoin to the driving line in pit road. It's unfortunate. I was praising him for staying on the curb. Apparently, he couldn't see around the corner. He tried to jump in line, and I think he jumped into a pack of cars coming in. That's unfortunate. That will effectively end his hunt today. And he'll be lucky to finish inside the top 15, I'd imagine, after such a thing. There's also a 5-second penalty given, no doubt for light contact. That's not showing up on my penalty report, I must be said, but you can almost assume that's what that's for.
Yeah. Now, look, we see Sundstrom out there in first place, but of course he hasn't pitted, as I said earlier on. So Chizia in second place with Killian Ryan and Meenan in second place. With Ripper in the BM in fourth, Gillies with the Porsche, and of course the guy we're looking at the minute, Cormac, the brother of Killian, in sixth place. All these guys and everyone else, as you can see, is pitted. So don't be looking too much at Sundstrom thinking he's in first place. He's got to pit yet. By the time he comes in, you need 35 to 40 seconds here to come in to pit. Longer actually to get out again. So he will probably rejoin way down in. Call it, Mick. Call it 18th.
Oh, I think that is a fair assessment, considering we talked earlier about how close a lot of these drivers were. I'd say that's about a fair assessment. But if I was Sundstrom, I would be happy right now that I was leading the race because
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
frankly,
right.
frankly, if it was me, this is the only way I'd be leading this race. Is
I'd be recording just this bit, to be honest with you.
yeah, like, do you know that race I did Saturday where I was leading? I was beating all the top guys. Yeah, but it's certainly something. I mean, he is in pit road now, just as we talk about him, Sundstrom in pit road to do his mandatory stop. And this is interesting. Usually, Mick, we see at RCI, we see a lot of drivers wait to the last possible moment. But keep in mind, there's no window. You could pit wherever you want.
Yeah.
But this is one of those rare times where all the drivers have decided to come in well before the race is over. They've allotted themselves a ton of time to finish this race out. Normally we have a few holdouts, typically a few from the top 10, hoping for a miracle, but that's not the case here today. But Ryan Meaden, I'm just going to call him Cormac because of the brother situation. Cormac being hounded by Wurst right now. Wurst, who has not had...
Through the chicane there, Jesse. Wurst.
Did he do? Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, so also, you have to bear with us. There's two Wurst in this race as well. I suspect they're also brothers or siblings of some sort.
Oh, hang on. Is there? Oh, there is.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there absolutely is.
S-Wurst and D-Wurst.
I meant to mention that at the start of the race as well when we were talking about the Ryan Meanen brothers, and I forgot. And the fact that we've made it over an hour into this race, they are going to be furious with me that I did not mention that at all. So my apologies to the Wurst brothers. Welcome. This is basically the race of two families at this point, is what's going on here, as Garland, who we saw earlier fighting for the third spot, is now returned to pit road for some reason. They brought their number 101 Porsche down to pit road for reasons that we don't quite know. They had fulfilled their stop. They were not given a penalty as far as we know. But yes, there are Wurst siblings here, I assume. Could always be a father-son, father-daughter pair. Hey, could be anything.
There is a lot of father-son, father-daughter sort of teams out there. I mean, we've certainly seen it over at RWB, and I've certainly seen it before in other races. I'm watching Sundstrom at the minute, Jesse, because he's obviously in the pits, and you can see he's 11th at the minute. I said 18th, didn't I? I hope he comes out before that. I keep saying he. There's a lot of she's out there. We probably shouldn't say he. We'll probably offend somebody. Apologies about that. If there are any girls out there, let us know. Come race. There aren't enough women racers or sim racers, in my view. This is for everybody. Come on.
Absolutely. I echo Mick entirely. We are blessed with the fact that we have female racers here at RCI that come out and they show out. And I mean, it's, we're inclusive here. Sim racing is a family. I think I can safely say it's if you sim race, you are part of a family. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, what gender you are. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is what car you drive, and that's the one thing that we care about here in sim racing. And
whether you could drive it.
Yeah, and we judge you for it. We'll judge you for that, but everything else we don't care about. But it's lovely to see families get involved and all sorts of configurations of teams and drivers. And anytime that we come up with, is this a bit of a battle here for the 7th spot? Indeed, it is. This is Zero getting hounded by Sharka here. Sharka thinking about making the pass in the Castrol liveried Mercedes. The broadcast crew had to talk about that car in the pre-race about how they enjoyed that Castrol livery. Very creative to make that car look that way. Zero going very defensive here as he has to. Clearly he's being outpaced at this point, and that's all you can do. It's like you said earlier, Mick. It doesn't really matter, if you're a bit slower. As long as you have overall pace, there's nothing wrong with being a bit defensive. I mean, it's the guy behind you's job to get around you.
Absolutely right. Yeah, and you know what? Listen, don't ever be put off by not coming sim racing purely because you know that your pace is nowhere near the majority of the field. It only takes 2 cars to have a race, and if you're 26th, then there's 25th to be able to gain. So, the fact of the matter is there is a very clear differential of ability between those that are really, really quick and those that are really, really slow. It's no different in sim race. It's no different in real racing in any series. You know, you're always going to have those who are the very best, and they're going to be out there. If you're in that field, then give yourself a pat on the back, but don't ever be discouraged or disheartened because you're never ever going to be up there. You've got to drive for something. You've got to have, you know, you've got to be incentivized, and you've got to have people that are inspirational. And there are plenty out here tonight.
Yeah, there absolutely is. And folks, if I can win races and championships, and I promise you I have in sim racing, you can do it. Trust me, I'm about the slowest person in the world. And the thing is, we don't just run pro leagues. We have pro-am split running right now as well, and an am split. We have you covered. Just come out and race here at RCI. We'd love to have you. There's a spot for you here. And it's lovely. It's lovely that you can come out here and you can have a good race no matter what your ability, skill level, how long you've been doing it. The thing that sort of hurts my feelings, though, Mick, and I say this humorously, of course, I get beat by people that just picked it up, and I don't know if that's more telling of them or me.
Welcome to my world. There are a couple of guys that I race with who are using controllers who, when they were born, not only like the Killians, like the Meenan brothers, the first words were Fanatec, but the first things these people done was actually move their thumbs on a controller. And these people are immensely talented, whereas I've got a Fanatec. All the gear
kit
and no idea. The gear and no idea.
Do you know what? There's a certain group of people that are called the PlayStation generation, and I'm sometimes grouped into that as we see a bit of a move here. The number 12 looking to get a pass done on him. This is Zero. Zero has already caught up. Sharka was getting ready to pass him earlier, but he's caught up to the back of Cormac, and he's hounding Cormac in that Porsche. That BMW will be quicker down the straightaway, but will it be quick enough? I'm a little disappointed in Zero. Not enough flashing of the lights on the straightaway as Cormac goes really defensive down to the inside line of turn 1. He's going to force Zero to go around the outside. That isn't going to work. Can he get the crossover move? No, he can't. Will he throw it down into the Mercedes arena? No, he won't, but he will get nice and close to the back of Cormac's car. And that's just, I mean, hey, that's
some great racing there.
That was good contactless racing.
Yeah, that was some great racing there. And you notice when Meenan went defensive, you know, going defensive does not mean going on the very inside of a corner. It means positioning your car well before the braking point in a position that actually it forces the person behind you to make the decision. And what we saw make the decision as to where their racing line and braking point will be. And what we saw Meenan do there was absolutely classic, smack bang in the middle. In other words, if you want me, you're going to have to go all the way around the outside, and what's more, there isn't enough space, so there was no way that Zero was going to be able to take Meenan going into that hairpin.
This is all fantastic stuff. Great racing. Keep in mind, this was a 75-minute race of which you have 20 minutes left. It's just gone 7 p.m. and he's going to try and go around the outside. Zero is in the BMW. Can he make it stick?
And he'll have him coming into Coca-Cola, look.
Absolutely well spotted. He had the right line, but he had to bodge his line a little bit to keep him back there. Will he get a run? Will Cormac get a run on him? I think he might. Will the BMW have enough? He goes to the inside like he's going to throw it down in there, thinks better of it, and they go single file through the chicane, which is really the only way to go through there. But if you are Cormac, you have to worry that Sharka is right behind you now, because Sharka wants to get by him as well, because this battle has continued.
He'll have him coming down here, Jesse. The AMG has got legs on it like Linford Christie on amphetamine or something. You know, I mean, they're enormous, these legs, and he will have him on the. He just ruined it as I said it, but I think he'll just have him on. I think there was a bit of door scraping going on there. I'm not sure whether the stewards will look at that, Jesse, but the AMG keeps the inside line coming down into the fades now. So that's Dean and Cormac now back down into 7.
Yeah, that's a huge contact between the two of them going down into the first turn, and Cormac's the one that, I guess I wouldn't say benefited. He's the loser of that situation, because he went from, what do you reckon? What was it about? Shoot! I have actually lost where that would have been. That would have been about 6th place. He's all the way down now, several positions, and that's not what you wanted to see. That's not exactly what you wanted. We got to talk about Killian for a second. Killian, his brother, though, is a big winner. He's made his way into the second position. So that's fantastic. And he's also cut the gap down. That gap was well over 10 seconds earlier and is now 7.7 seconds, the gap.
Yep. We're seeing now Mina now Killian, aren't we, up into second place. Chizia well out there. 154.9 a race pace. That is quite extraordinary. But look at the Menans. You got Killian in second. We've seen those fantastic racing with Cormac and the rest of the guys there. So this is shaping up to be wonderful. 18 minutes left of this race. The sun is starting to go down. There's been no rain that has shown its ugly head as we're looking at Wust, the S of the partnership there, S Wust. If you're colourblind, then fair play. But I can't get behind the livery. Sorry.
I think some of these drivers, and I've heard this from Darren King from time to time, he's told me personally before that he tries to make some of the craziest liveries possible because to stand out. And I tell him every time he enters one of our races,
which is why he's racing in a blue and white livery right now.
Yeah, I gotta say, sometimes he goes a bit too far with it. But hey, the ACC is a canvas. You're the artist, and you paint the picture you want to paint. But sometimes perhaps
look at the bumblebee there, that beautiful R8, wonderful.
I have, I'm certainly going to be proven wrong by saying this, but I've never seen a badly painted or colored Audi. But certainly I will be proved wrong in my inbox now because I have said such a thing. But this is the battle for 10th place. This is Faust and Sundstrom. Sundstrom, who was leading this race earlier via not pitting when the majority of the top 10 did. Sundstrom has a shot at a top 10 here. Faust, who has had a great start to the race, but had a bit of an incident that we didn't quite catch on camera. I saw it, but not in its entirety. Put him down to 12th. He's now recovered to 10th, but is under the threat of losing the top 10 spot to Sundstrom. As we now go back to Cormac. Cormac in 8th place. He was the loser on the first turn incident. That went a bit wrong for him as there was contact. Didn't get spun around, but when you're nose to tail, Mick, it doesn't matter. It's like we've been saying all race. You have a little contact, you go a bit wide, you lose 0.3 to a second, and the whole line went by him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to keep going back to how tentative the Porsches are. You master it, you're in a happy place. You don't master it, you'll spend the majority of your race trying to master it, and of course you only need a slight tap on the back of the
all right, we lost Mick there again, but yeah, it's just fantastic what we've seen today. Honestly, it's been absolutely epic racing, and I don't think this is done, as this battle, which was on earlier, is still continuing to this point. This is Cormac versus Sarka. This could be a battle for, well, it will be a battle for 9th place, I should say, but by the day's end, it could be the battle for the last top 10 spot. I say that because Sundstrom seems to be on a bit of a charge trying to get around Faust. So it might be a bigger impact than it seems right now, and be very interested to see. I don't know earlier, by the way, folks, what I was seeing on my timing and scoring. It must have been a bit awry. I may have erroneously mentioned that Killian in the number 23 Porsche was within 10 seconds of leader David Chiesa. That is incorrect. He's about 17 seconds behind. I do apologize. My relative split time must have been bugged or something. It must have dropped the 1 in front of it, or either that or I am blind. Either way, I do apologize for that. There are 17 seconds difference between the two, and it doesn't appear that Killian is gaining time on our leader. But for now, we stay with Cormac, who is under a constant fight from Sharka. Sharka would absolutely love to get around Killian Cormac at this time, but he doesn't quite have the pace through the corners, it seems. Obviously, that big V8 in the front has the grunt down the straightaway, but perhaps the Porsche just a little better in the corners, Mick.
Yeah, wonderful. The 5 seconds there, the 5 seconds.
All right,
Um,
Mick's still having
oh,
issues there. We do apologize for that. Some things out of your control. We talked to Billy Octane earlier, having hardware issues. Sim racing, it's an art, not a science, and sometimes it just doesn't go your way. And for a lot of these drivers today, it hasn't gone their way. I can tell you one thing, it has gone David Cheese's way. He qualified on pole by 4/10. He ran a 54.4, and he drove into turn one, got the lead, and drove away from the field. He's driven away from several drivers, including Schumacher, Killian Ryan Meenan, Wust, and others, Faust as well, now that I mention it. And it has been a great day for him as we enter the final 13 minutes here at 7:10 p.m. in sim time. Sun is going down. You'll notice the shadows, if you can see them at all, are getting incredibly long. The headlights are on, racing into the evening here. Nurburgring on the evening of the number 12, thinking about making a rejoin. That was almost a massive incident, Mick.
I'm back. Not sure what was going on there. Give me a sound check, Jesse. I'm all right. Oh, look
You're
at the
doing
state of the
fantastic.
Porsche. Look at the state of Cormac's Porsche. That is Cormac, I think. Yeah, it is. He's pulled over. This is disastrous for him, and I think he's retired.
Oh dear, that's a difficult situation to be in. Oh my goodness, my heart skipped a beat, and my apologies for everybody out there. For me, Mick was having issues. Apparently, Mick, you were not having issues. Haha, jokes on you.
Sons of boys.
Wait, welcome to the group. You've just been pranked. No, seriously, my apologies. I could hear everything fine, but Mick was coming in weird for me, and that is my bad. Have a laugh at my expense, please, everybody out there. Will you please? But
no, not at all. It's all good. All good now.
It's completely fine. My ears are just completely broken, and I do apologize.
You're very welcome. No, don't worry about it at all. Jesse, 11.5 minutes left of this race. Been fantastic so far. How about a quick rundown? I don't know whether we can ask our director to give us a quick rundown from the front there and let everyone know certainly how the top 10 are doing in the sort of positions. Look at them penalties coming up. Wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to mention a few things that have happened. The number 21 was given a 5-second penalty, not respecting another driver's position on track coming out of the Dunlop curve. The 818 was given a 5-second penalty for not respecting another driver's position on track in the first turn. I think that is by what we saw happen in that first turn earlier, Mick. I think those penalties are directly related to that. It's worth mentioning the 21 was given a warning earlier. I've not mentioned any of the warnings given out, but they are given to the teams as far as I'm aware, so they know they've been given a warning. And obviously, if the steward gives you a warning and you continue doing what you are doing, that will result in a penalty, and I think that has in some cases today. But it'd be fantastic if our lovely race director, Nick Setnick, would like to run us down the top 10 so we can have a brief moment to discuss each driver and their drive today.
And you know what I'm looking at, Jesse? I'm looking at 10 minutes and 15 seconds left of the race. Look where Killian is now. He's up into second place. He's fought to get there. Of course, we saw earlier on with Garland and the time eventually being taken away from him by Chizia. So actually, it'll be interesting to see in 10 minutes left with 17.7 seconds currently, whether actually Killian starts to close that up and therefore on a longer race would actually then be in a challenging position. I don't think with the time that's left that unless Chizia falls off the track that Killian, i.e. Killian Meenan in second place, is going to be challenging Chizia.
Yeah, Chizia, if I'm him, I mean, well, he's won a ton of races, not just races that I've covered, but just in general, he's a fantastic driver. But if this is me, I'm starting to hear things in the car that I haven't heard all day. There's rattles and there's shakes and things, and it's like, oh, that it's a little loose now. Maybe I've got a slow puncture or something. Which again, all jokes aside, can happen in ACC. So
absolutely,
it's just all those sorts of things. But you're absolutely right. David Chisa has had this race in hand since the green flag has dropped, and it certainly looks like he is on cruise control to the end of this race. And to Killian's credit, he started, what did he start, about 8th or 9th in this race?
He was outside the top 10, most certainly.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And he has driven all the way up to 2nd, and that's just pure grunt. No safety car, no cautions here, folks. That's just pure pace. That's exactly what I was saying on the grid, that you can qualify well, and then there's some guys and some cars that just race really well, and Killian
I actually done a
proving me right on that account.
I done a 6-hour race at Suzuka, Jesse, 6-hour race at Suzuka, and I think I took them both out by accident.
Did you?
They were winning. They were right up there, in the top sort of 3, and I was out of a race of 50 or so. I was 30 something or other, and I lost the car, uncontrollable. Lost the car, hit the wall, come back onto the track, and took them both out.
Right. So the Meenan brothers, if you would like to have a word with Mick in the parking lot after today's race, he drives a yellow Porsche.
R8.
Oh, yellow R8, is that right? He drives a yellow R8. He will find him in the parking lot. Do give him a piece of your mind. That is unfortunate.
You can imagine they were absolutely fuming afterwards. But I spoke to them both, and they realised that it was a racing incident. No one goes out there to ruin someone else's race, least of all those who are first, or you're being lapped or whatever. It was just a sad set of circumstances. That's all. Anyway, 7 minutes and 20 seconds left of the race, Jesse.
Yeah, 7 minutes and 17 seconds away, and I'm here with Mick, the Meenan Destroyer, and it's been a fantastic race for us. We talked about the top 2. We'll talk about Ripper. Ripper's had a quiet race. He's followed up behind a lot of drivers. He hounded Gillies for a lot of this race. He has made his way onto the final step of the podium at this time. Doesn't look like he's under any direct threat at the moment. Looking good for the number 66 BMW. Then we have Gillies, who's been constantly embroiled in a battle today, and he's done well. He's one of the few, Mick, who's been in a constant fight with somebody. Doesn't matter who it's been, and he's not made a mistake. He's maintained his top 5 position.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, he's done absolutely wonderful. We've gone on to Killian now. And a good point there, because look, 16.7 seconds. So he is starting to claw time in from Chizia. But I'm probably saying that wrong, and I do apologise sincerely, Chizia. It's not Chizia, is it? How do I say it?
You're asking an American how to pronounce names.
I'm terrible with names.
Unfortunate as well that you've done
terrible
that.
with names. I've got 3 children. I don't even know what they're called, to be honest with you. So if I get your name wrong out there, then if I get your name wrong out there, I'm really sorry about that. But Killian Meenan then in 2nd place in the green Porsche there, and he, as we saw, he is clawing back time from Chizia, but just not enough length in the race to go. Only 5 minutes and 45 seconds. We're looking at Zero there. Has done exceptionally well up into 6th place. We heard Jesse mention earlier on about actually pace and so forth, and Zero is being challenged by Wurst. I'm going to call him Daniel Wurst. I don't think it is Daniel Wurst, but it is now Daniel Wurst in 7th place. 0.3 of a second. 0.3 of a second. What does that look like? I'll tell you what it looks like. Nothing. And in sim racing, that BMW is pretty much on the dashboard of that Porsche.
Oh my goodness. Welcome to RCI, where we change your name to benefit our English commentary, I think is what's happening here today. But you don't really see this. I didn't expect to see this. Zero in the BMW. He's struggling with Wurst. Wurst is obviously has a bit more pace right now. And even on the straightaway, Mick, you can see it. That Porsche is hanging with the BMW, and that's so strange. You wouldn't normally expect it. He does break out a bit of a gap here. But on the previous 2 straightaways, as you were talking about, he didn't quite get the gap. But look at the Porsche just claw in there. That Porsche so planted in the chicane and under braking, he's right back on the back of him. I suspect he's going to get this done.
Yeah, and look where Wurst gets the time. If we stay here again, watch them again. Pretty much all Porsches, especially if they're in the hands of a master of a Porsche, the Porsche will gain up on you and eat your time on all corners, purely because the drive is just on a tuppence, whereas others, particularly front engine, really need the sort of the length. The power is on the back wheels. and the pretty much the preloads and the diffs, particularly if they're low, the power is instant and well controlled. It is on a fine line, Jesse, because that Porsche can bite, as I mentioned earlier on. But in the right hands, these Porsches are essentially very, very quick in and out of these corners, and that's where he's making his time. And as you said, on the main straights and on the straight sections, this is when the big cars like the BM and the AMG just take away.
Yes, absolutely. We're showing you now on the live scoring board. These are the times between each driver, and you'll notice that Killian has managed, as Mick mentioned, to gain a bit of time on the leader. It isn't nearly enough as we stick with this battle. You're watching Stefan Zero get attacked by Wurst. Wurst is on the heels. He wants that top 5 spot. Keep in mind, this isn't a championship. This is a one-off event that RCI has thrown just for funsies, and it's been a fun week back at the office, getting back into commentary, getting back in the booth, and getting races going again for you guys. We thank you guys for showing up and showing out. You guys didn't miss a beat here with us, and it's just been a fantastic event that we have had. Not a ton of incidents. See a lot of little 5-second penalties and everything for avoidable contact, but not a lot of big incidents. We saw some bumping and some rubbing and everything, but beyond that, it's been incredibly tame, and we've seen a lot of great racing here. I'm worried about this battle, though. I'm worried about Wurst's ability, because he is in the car slower on the straightaway, to be close enough to drive it into the corner. Oh, and there you go, talking about the Porsche biting. Yep. Mick said the Porsche has fangs, and there you saw it indeed. He just got onto it a little hard, trying to stick with the Zero, and it all goes wrong.
Yeah, the Porsche sort of snaps on you if you, like I said, if you get to that sort of area where you know you can really handle the Porsche. There are some exceptionally fast people out there, but already, look how just through Mercedes arena and going down into Valvoline and into Ford and now down into Dunlop, the Porsche already made that time up, and he's almost back to where he was before, purely and simply because he's just gone through a cornered complex, and that is where the Porsche has its strength.
1 minute and a half to go. 7:22 p.m. has just gone in sim time. We'd like to thank all of you guys for joining us here today at Racing Club International, RCI. We love having you, and we like to thank all of our stewards, all of our production team, and Nick Setnick, who has been giving you all of these wonderful camera angles. Certainly, it's obviously him, because had it been Mick or I, it would have been a big issue. And the 168 gets a bit of a touch. Oh, and he's going through. The number 11 of Wurst is going through. That's incredible stuff. He used the outside to block the 168, and he got through. Wurst up to 4th position, and he's driving away in the final moments. Incredible stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Fair play. Excellent racing out there, and I can only echo what you've already said so eloquently and so well, which is where the racecraft has been great. It's been some great racing out there, and some great tactics as well. Good, safe racing, and notwithstanding the odd penalty here and there, well, that's why you have race stewards and you have clever people to be able to identify where people need penalties. But in general sense, it's been some great racing out there, the second and many more to come, and yeah, we'll be looking forward to seeing you back next time.
Yeah, we'll absolutely see you next weekend if we don't see you sooner. So, if you haven't already, why not subscribe to the RCI YouTube channel? Stay informed and stay up to date, because do you really want to miss this? Look at what's happening as time expires on the race.
Throws of the race.
These guys are going at it. I suspect Wurst will have seen that his family member in the number 11 has taken 4th place. That will invigorate him to get by this BMW here on the final lap. I don't know if this will be the final lap for them. But once again, I just want to thank Nick Setnick. He's the guy behind the cameras today. He's bringing you all these wonderful shots, helping us tell the story, showing you what we are seeing here, and some lovely camera work today. And it's been a fantastic sort of backdrop here at the Nurburgring, as well as I reckon Wurst is going to have at best 1 or 2 more shots to make this past on the number 51 of Zero.
And Zero is going to make himself very, very wide in these last throws of the race, coming into the NGK chicane, into the Coca-Cola curve, the final corner as he crosses the line. I think at this stage, actually, he's sixth place. It's very likely that actually this will be the finish of the race for him, I think.
It is
yes,
indeed.
It is the race. And there's a flash
Lights
of the lights.
flashing.
Well done,
Love
Zero.
it.
He made himself very wide, Jesse, didn't he? And he was a little bit concerned about how close first was into the Coca-Cola corner. But, fair play. Great race.
Zero absolutely earned that position by some excellent defensive and some very gentlemanly driving there. Didn't go too crazy on it, but got it done. Of course, David Chiesa has made it to the start-finish line earlier. He did win this race over Killian Ryan Meenan and Ripper in third place. Stephen Worst is going to be fourth place, Gillies fifth, 0 6th, as we talked about. The other worst family member in 7th, Faust 8th. Sundstrom drove to 9th place. Sharka 10th. Dedicek 11th. Barrier 12th. Lorenk in 13th. Schumacher rebounds to 14th left. 15th. Zeman 16th. Pedrozzini could do no better than 17th. Renard 18th. Cap 19th. Pereira 20th. Varga 21st. Lauren in 22nd. Garland, who was a big part of this race early, falls all the way to 23rd and does not finish the race. And of course, we have some other finishers that don't fit on this lineup, unfortunately. But Mick, 75 minutes. What do you think about that race? Are you going to stop doing RCI now, or you think you're going to come back?
Oh, I think I might be back for some more commentating. I absolutely loved that. It was a great race. It was great to be in here with you and in the box as well, Jesse. They clearly need to clean this place up. It's a mess. But that was some great racing, some great racecraft, some great stewarding as well. I'm a big fan of live stewarding. You've got to have the right sort of foundation and framework in order to be able to distribute penalties fairly. And I think that's been done very, very well. Some great racing. And I very much look forward. I believe it's next week is Misano in Italy, Jesse.
Yes, it absolutely is. It is something that we hope that you guys will join us for. We're going to be in Misano, Italy next weekend. It'll be a 2-hour race. So I'm not sure the information I've been given, but it is a 2-hour streamed race right here on YouTube. We hope that you will join us for that event. And until then, congratulations to David Chiesa on his win today. Congratulations to all the people involved. And I'd like to, on behalf of RCI, I would like to thank you all for joining us. And I would like to thank all the staff involved to make this race happen. Have a lovely evening and a lovely rest of your weekend. And we will see you in about a week's time. Join us, will you?
Take care.